Have you ever felt like you've hit rock bottom? Like the world has collapsed around you and you're left with nothing? It's a terrifying, lonely place to be. You look around, and everything you once held dear, your job, your home, your relationships, even your own confidence, seems to have vanished. You wake up each morning with a heavy heart, asking yourself the same gut-wrenching question. How do I even begin to start over when I have absolutely nothing left? If that's you, I want you to know you're not alone. And I want to share a story that might just change the way you see your situation. It's a story about a man named Arjun, and it's called How to Start Again After Losing Everything. Arjun had it all. He was a successful man with a great job, a beautiful house that echoed with the laughter of his loving family, and a life that felt, well, perfect. He was the kind of person who seemed to have everything figured out. But life, as we know, has a way of throwing curveballs when we least expect them. One year, Arjun's perfect world began to crumble. It started with his business. A series of unfortunate events, bad decisions, and a struggling economy led to its collapse. His savings, which he had so carefully built up over the years, vanished almost overnight, swallowed by debts and failed ventures. The financial strain was immense, and slowly, piece by piece, he lost the tangible things he had worked so hard to acquire. The beautiful house was sold. The comfortable lifestyle became a distant memory. But the most painful losses weren't the material ones. As his fortune faded, so did his friends. The phone stopped ringing. The invitations stopped coming. The people he once shared his successes with were nowhere to be found in his time of failure. This isolation was a heavy blow, but the deepest cut came from within. His confidence, once his greatest asset, began to erode. He started doubting his abilities, his judgment, his very worth as a person. Arjun felt like his world hadn't just changed, it had ended. He was lost in a fog of despair, with no map and no light to guide him. Every morning was a battle. He'd open his eyes and the crushing weight of his reality would press down on him. How do I start again when I've lost everything? The question echoed in the silence of his empty new reality. It wasn't just about money or a job. It was about rebuilding a life from the ashes, and he didn't even know where to find the first brick. One afternoon, seeking a moment of solitude, Arjun found himself sitting on a bench in a local park. He was just staring into space, lost in his thoughts, when an old gardener, his hands weathered from years of working with the earth, slowly walked by. The gardener noticed the profound sadness etched on Arjun's face. He paused, leaned on his rake, and with a gentle voice, he spoke. "You know," the old man began, gesturing to the magnificent trees that provided shade all around them. "This whole park was once just empty, barren soil. For months, nothing grew here. It was just dirt and dust." He looked at Arjun, a knowing look in his eyes. "But I came here every single day. I planted tiny seeds and I watered them. Every single day. Even when I saw no green, no sign of life, no reason to believe anything would ever come of it. I just kept watering." The gardener smiled, a warm, genuine smile that seemed to reach right into Arjun's soul. He continued, and slowly, very slowly, they grew. First a tiny sprout, then a sapling, and now, look at them. He gestured again to the strong, tall trees. "Life is the same," he said softly. "You may feel like you've lost everything on the surface, but your heart, your ability to hope, to dream, to try again, that's still alive. That is your seed. All you have to do is water it with a little patience and a little faith." Those simple words, spoken by a stranger, landed with a profound impact. They were like a ray of light piercing through the dark clouds of Arjun's despair. He listened, really listened, for the first time in a long while. The gardener's words weren't just a nice metaphor. They were a practical, powerful truth. That very day, sitting on that park bench, Arjun made a silent, solemn promise to himself. He wouldn't try to rebuild his entire world overnight. That was impossible. Instead, he would start small. He would plant one tiny seed. He would focus on rebuilding just one small piece of his life at a time. His journey back was not a sprint. It was a slow, deliberate walk. He took on small jobs, whatever he could find. Humbling work that was a world away from his previous career. But it was honest work, and it put food on the table. In his spare time, he didn't dwell on what he'd lost. He focused on what he could gain. He started learning new skills, taking free online courses, reading books, and expanding his knowledge. With each small job completed, with each new skill learned, a tiny bit of his confidence started to return. It was fragile at first, but it was there. Of course, it wasn't easy. There were many hard days, days filled with frustration, fatigue, and the overwhelming urge to just give up. On those days, when the old feelings of hopelessness threatened to pull him back under, he would close his eyes and remember the old gardener's words, "Water it with patience." He would remind himself that growth is often invisible at first. Months turned into a year, and then another. The small jobs led to better opportunities. The new skills opened doors he never knew existed. Eventually, Arjun gathered the courage and the modest resources to start his own small business again. It was nothing like the grand enterprise he had before. It was small, simple, and built on a foundation of hard lessons learned. But with this new venture came a feeling he had never truly known before, even at the height of his previous success. It was a profound sense of peace. The peace that comes not from having everything, but from the quiet satisfaction of rebuilding yourself from the ground up, with your own two hands and an unbreakable spirit. Through this difficult journey, Arjun realized something incredibly powerful. Sometimes losing everything isn't the end of your story. It's not a final chapter. Sometimes it's the beginning. It's an unexpected, painful, but ultimately necessary opportunity to strip away everything that isn't truly you and discover the resilient, capable, and authentic person you were always meant to be. Arjun's story is a reminder to all of us. No matter how deep the pit you find yourself in, no matter how much you've lost, you still have the most important thing, the seed of a new beginning within you. Your heart, your will, your capacity to try one more time. So, if you're feeling lost today, I want you to think about that. What is one small seed you can plant today? What is one tiny step you can take to water it? It could be making a phone call, going for a walk, learning one new thing, or simply being kind to yourself. Just start there. Water that seed with patience, and trust that in time, you too will grow again, stronger and more beautiful than before. If this story touched your heart and gave you a little bit of hope, please consider subscribing to our channel, Stories by Heart. We're here to share more motivational stories like this one, designed to help you learn English, stay inspired, and grow a little wiser with each new day. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to be patient with your own growth. We'll see you in the next story.